wave at Normandy invasion.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Lee's husband?
No.
No. Her
son-in-law.
Her son-in-law. So that...
I think his name was Jack.
Okay, because that would have been your same generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judy was a couple years older than I was.
Okay.
So Jack, his name is Schott, Schott. He was a couple years, obviously, older than Judy. Mm-hmm. So anyway, he was a physician, and he was one of the initial
wow.
Wave on Normandy. I don't think I ever saw him again. I mean, he lived a normal life, but I never saw him again.
Were they married? Were they married and then he went overseas?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he was quite a bit older than you.
Oh yeah, Judy was a couple years older than I was.
So he was like 5 years older than you.
Yeah, and then he must have been because he was out of med school already.
Oh, he was already a physician. Okay.
Yeah, he was a physician.
Uh-huh. And so when you're put into that situation and you're a physician, don't you get put into like the...
He was in the medical corps.
He was in the medical corps. Okay.
Yeah, but still...
Oh my God, that must have been...
So they still needed, in the initial wave, they still need medics.
Right.
So...
all right, well, while I have you on the roll, let me just start asking some of the questions. So, tell me, when did you enlist? Why don't we start there? I hope this is working. Yeah, it is.
Actually, I was still in high school. And they had a program called the... Oh, shoot, I forgot the name of it. Anyway, for young men who were pre-eligible for draft. In other words, I was still 17. But if you wanted to be in specific air...
It's like the ROTC.
More or less. And so anyway, I enlisted in that because I figured if I enlisted in that, I would, when I was called, I would
have your choice.
Be in the Air Force. Okay. So I see. That was, so I remember we used to meet maybe once a week at the Armory, which was across from my high school, on Best and Maston in there. We used to drill. We used to learn how to
march,
hold, do any stuff like that. But anyway.
And this was once you turned 17, or was this all through high school? Or just...
I think you had to be 17 or older.
Okay.
But, well, don't forget.
So you turned 18 May of your senior year.
Yeah. So, I was 16 when the war started, when we were invaded. So it took me a little time to get into that thing. And, of course, I had to convince Grandma and Grandpa that this is what I wanted to do. I remember the argument I used to use. I said, I'm going to go in the Air Force. I'm too damn lazy to march. And if I'm going to get shot at, I'm going to either come back whole or not come back. Okay? But I don't want to march.
So they were not in favor of you enlisting?
Well...
But it was sort of, everybody was going, right?
Oh, yeah. It was a question of either going and taking your chances or taking an opportunity to select what you wanted to do. So they could understand what I was talking about. So I really did not have much objections from my parents because it was a foregone conclusion. You were if you were physically able, you were going to serve.
Yeah. So when you turned 18 May of your senior year.
Yeah.
So did you go automatically in, or did you go through, what happened?
Okay. Uh, all I know, they said that you're going to be called to active duty sometime. I
Okay.
exactly
Okay.
didn't. So in August of '43, I got called to active duty, and there was a whole contingent of us guys that were in the same boat, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And we got sent down to Greensboro, North Carolina for basic training. But these guys were with me all were volunteer for the Air Force. I think there's a couple of guys that were Polish. That I think was the first time I ever came in contact with Polish. You know,
Growing up in Buffalo, New York?
wait a
Wow.
minute. The Poles
Lived
were
in.
isolated.
Right, they lived in one.
You know, if you found somebody who didn't speak with an accent, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
were you in basic training with kids from your high school? Like, did you know people that when you went?
I can't remember. There were probably, you know, I
Okay.
can't remember.
So nobody close. It wasn't like
No. Now, my two of my best friends here
mm-hmm.
enlisted same time. They didn't get called to active duty till 2 months after or 3 months after I did.
Oh, really?
And we couldn't figure out how come I was called.
Alphabetical?
I don't know. And one of them was
And this, I don't know.
oh, when I was smoking.
I don't know what's in here.
This, I think, belonged to Libby.
Well, I have this written down, belonged to Libby. Was this in here?
Yeah,
Auto
probably.
Jassoid. Oh, my.
Okay, when I smoked cigarettes.
This was your cigarette case?
Yeah.
If you could ever open it. Maybe you didn't smoke much.
Wise ass. Okay, this is supposed to be the Taj Mahal.
Oh, did you get this in India?
In India, yeah.
There.
Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, here, this is what I was talking about. They made this into a bracelet. Okay, and my watch fit in right there.
Who made that for you? Who knows?
So the mechanic.
In the service.
Oh yeah, this was done overseas.
Oh wow!
So they took my wings and.
Okay. I'm gonna turn the air on upstairs.
Whatever.
Okay. Yeah, this is not the paperwork that I was expecting. That's very cool. So it's your wings.
Yeah.
So they took your wings from that you would have on your lapel or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
You wore these over your breast
Right,
check. So yeah. Anyway, as you can see, the post of the would fit in there, and geez.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Oh, this is graduation from optometry school.
Oh, okay.
You don't want to see this.
I do, but not now.
Okay.
And here are two ribbons.
Yeah. Let's see. This was the air medal. I don't know what the hell this one was. But that's the air medal.
Air medal. The green side is the air medal.
Well, this looks like a duplication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
No, different color. This is blue. Well, I guess it is the same.
Sure, I think it's the same.
Okay. So anyway,
Okay. Anyway, yeah, this is interesting. This one.
Yeah, very interesting.
It still fits my wrist.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
There you go.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Okay, so...
Okay, so I got into We were in Greensboro, North Carolina. We stayed there for about a month. And we were all all of us guys in this particular group were all in the Air Force. So it was, then we were shipped out to different they had a college program that we all had to attend for 6 months. They went to different colleges, but there was under detachment of, for instance, now I was sent to called Albright College, which was in Reading, Pennsylvania. It probably is not
In existence.
there anymore. But we were there for about 6 to 8 months.
Doing what?
Well, you were taking courses in math, map reading, other stuff, and you started to get my first exposure to actually flying a plane.
Were you mixed in with the regular students at that
No.
college, or it was just a separate
entity?
program?
We
Interesting.
had separate barracks. We used to have drills. We used to learn how to march. You carry a rifle, believe it or not.
Clean a rifle? Did you learn how to like clean a rifle and do all that stuff and shoot?
I never shot a rifle in my life. The biggest thing I ever shot was a carbine, which was a smaller rifle. I shot that a couple of times. Now, a handgun, a 45 millimeter pistol, automatic pistol, we were issued when we were overseas. You couldn't hit a broadside of a barn with those damn things. But we all had them. And there's a picture of me around somewhere in there with a holster, that the gun is in that holster. But when you went on a mission, you had had that just in case. I don't know what the hell we were going to do with it. Maybe we used to kid that we could throw the gun and make more damage
than shooting it.
Yeah.
So okay, so now you're in at this college.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania for 6 months taking classes, and they had planes there that you would start to learn how to fly.
Yep. Of course, they were the like Piper Cums, the small planes, 2-seaters. But that's where your first experience of learning how to fly.
Had you ever been in a plane before?
Never.
Oh my gosh.
That was my first experience.
That must have been terrifying.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I learned to fly a plane before I had a driver's license.
Really?
Really.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember like your flight instructor and stuff?
They had different ones. You were assigned each.
So you would just go in a plane with some instructor.
An instructor. I mean, you were assigned, but each day would be.
And they'd say, "Okay, go ahead."
This is what we're going to do. First, you had to learn how to start the engines, really, and then you had to learn how to taxi, because the planes sat like this. So when you taxied, you had to go like this so you can see where you're going. Otherwise, you're going to run into something.
Right.
And then you started in flying. I remember the first time they.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, when you were flying, you would go up like that, and then they put you into a spin. Okay, to see, and then the nose would drop down and you'd spin, coming out, and then you had to learn how to get out of a spin.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you, I wouldn't want to be an instructor. No how.
I can't imagine. Did they have like a second, second steering wheel? And he could take over. They could take over the controls.
But
were you good? Were you a natural?
Probably not. If I was, okay, let me put it this thing. one of the most difficult planes to fly was the B-24. That was a four-engine bomb. I never quite qualified to be as good a pilot for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was a tough plane to fly. It had a lot of idiosyncrasies, actually, of the plane itself, and each plane had its own little characteristics.
Okay.
So I was never
You
that
never
good.
qualified.
You know, do you remember who McGovern was? George McGovern?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. He was a B-24 pilot, and he was very good.
Okay.
But anyway.
So flight instruction. So you were there. So by the time you were done with this flight instruction, you were ready to.
Well, then you got classified whether you were going to go become pilot or a navigator or a bombardier. Now, seems to me, and eventually they reversed that situation where they classified you before they sent you into this training. But this is what they did. In fact, the classification center was at Nashville, Tennessee. And
So did you go take a test or something?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Psychomotor tests and a lot of coordination tests and stuff like that.
So what were you qualified, or what were you level?
Pilot training.
Pilot training.
Okay. Like my two friends, Abby Lipson and Lenny Wolf, who was Aunt Bev's cousin.
Oh, okay.
They qualified for navigator.
Okay.
In fact, Abby was so good he ended up as a navigation instructor.
Oh, okay.
I really don't know the situation with Lenny Wolf. Oh, I do remember. We all got it for somehow or other. He got assigned to a station in Miami. They lost his papers for the whole war. He was stationed in Miami. Didn't do a damn thing. He got his pay every month.
Got full VA benefits. Wow.
He fought the whole war in Miami. Let me tell you, that was tough duty.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that's so funny.
So anyway, then I went to different air bases, and you went from basic to intermediate. Then I forgot the desert. Anyway, you ended up at advanced. Then you went to single engine and then multi-engine.
So you were called in August of 43. Then you spent a month doing that. Then you spent 6 months at this college. And then you spent time going from state. How long did all this training take? Like, when did you get deployed?
Oh, let me see. We actually deployed to overseas in early 45.
Oh, wow. So like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Of training.
Okay. I think I got deployed. We actually flew out of Miami. Then we flew from there down to south of maybe Trinidad. Then we flew from there to the Ascension Islands in the South Pacific. Then from there to Africa. The funny thing is, our original orders were to heading for Europe. Okay? So while you're getting deployed and everything, now in Europe, you did not wear summer uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
You only had these kind of things you didn't have.
No shorts.
Okay. In the course of our going from somewhere to overseas, I ended up in Dakar, Africa. Our orders were changed. Don't go to Europe. You're going to
South Pacific.
No, not the CBI, not the South Pacific. That's two different answers.
Okay.
So we ended up, a whole bunch of us, all we had was winter clothes.
In Africa?
Yeah, and in India. Well, the temperature got pretty hot.
And you're wearing wool?
Yeah,
Oh God.
yeah. I think it must have taken them at least a month to 2 months before we were able to get summer weight clothes.
Oh my God.
So anyway, we ended up there.
So you go through your training. At what point do you get grouped into a designated group? So like when you get shipped off, are you with the people who you're gonna be with?
Yeah, I don't know where that takes place.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is that we had a crew. Now, interesting. One of the fellows on my crew, the pilot, I was never qualified at. Well, I can fly, but I was a co-pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the pilot was a kid from Buffalo that was a year older than I am. Went to the same high school, grammar school that we used to play ball together at.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, so his middle name was Timothy. He was, or John, I forgot. Anyway, I knew him as Tim McCarthy. In service, he was John McCarthy. But I used to call him Tim all the time.
So you guys got deployed. You flew with him.
Yeah, we were deployed. In fact, yeah. So at that point there, we were flying what was called combat cargo.
And where were you based? Where was it? In India. This is when you were in India.
Well, then we, from India down, then we flew to, we were up in Assam, India. That's the northeast corner of India. Then our base was moved to Burma, and we stayed in Burma for quite a while. And then I forgot where the hell. All I know, it was near the Irrawaddy River.
Okay.
And there was a guerrilla group called Merrill's Marauders who were like rangers, okay?
Oh.
And they were the elite infantry.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they would go in and do what they were supposed to. We would supply them by flying airdrops in there. In other words, you'd come in real low, and we'd have the Indian Army supply the kickers. We call them kickers. They would throw the stuff. Now you'd come in about 300 feet.
Okay.
Come in like this, and you get the hell out of there as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. And this was where were you dropping stuff into?
Into Burma.
Into Burma.
Okay, because at the time, the British Army was driving down towards Rangoon, and we were supplying them. But part of that was the Merrill's Marauders, who would sort of go ahead of them
and clean and
yeah. So.
And who were you fighting in that area?
This is all the Japanese.
Japanese.
Yeah. Because I never saw any of them, but fortunately. So anyway.
And was that the hump? Was that the?
No,
okay.
From after that part of the campaign was over with, after they took Rangoon, we started to fly the hump. Now, the plane that we were doing the dropping from was called the C-47.
Mm-hmm.
It was in fact, they still have those planes flying right now. It's a DC-3 commercial thing.
Wow.
But the altitude limit on that was about 11 or 12,000 feet. You couldn't get. So we changed over to a C-46, which was a bigger plane
Mm-hmm.
that had a turbo um, charges in it. It could fly as high as 20 or 22,000 feet. It was a terrible plane. It was made in Buffalo here. Oh, it was a horrible plane. When you took off, you had to take a case of hydraulic fluid because it leaked like hell. Oh, it was an awful plane.
Great.
So anyway, I flew that, and I think I maybe made 5 or 6 missions, 7 missions over the hump. By that time, I had flown actually over 100 combat missions, and I was they took me off flight status then.
So when you flew a combat mission, what exactly does that mean?
Well,
Were people shooting at you?
well, yeah, the ground crew was shooting at us. In fact,
Were you shooting at other people?
No, we had no guns. We
You
were
were
strictly cargo on that, and
spies. You used to tell me that you would drop spies.
oh,
No.
that was for a short period of time. I was assigned to the OSS, which is the forerunner of the CIA, and we used to drop agents. And I think this is maybe 3 or 4 weeks that they had to use us. Now, while this particular CIA operation or the OSS operation, they took crews from all the different services. There was a Navy guys, there was some Marine guys in there. So it was a conglomerate thing, but it was a very temporary type of thing.
And so where were you dropping the agents into?
It beats the hell out of me.
You don't even know where was this?
This was in Burma.
In Burma.
And it could have been in Thailand, dropping them into.
Okay. And they were parachuting out.
Yeah.
Oy vey.
Yeah. So, but that was short-lived.
Okay.
Then we got reassigned back after that. So that was.
And so, what was the number of your? Was it? It's not a platoon. It's a squadron. What was like your airborne?
331st Troop Carrier Group or something like that.
Okay.
So I got some stuff upstairs that I Phil didn't find.
Right.
I'll look for it, I think.
Yeah. And then, so then you got deployed in early 45. And then how long were you overseas for?
Till December of 40. The war was over in September
Of 45.
Now, right after that, VJ Day, we flew into Shanghai. And we were based in Shanghai. In fact, I can remember that it was just before the Jewish high holidays. And the Jewish community had
In Shanghai?
In Shanghai, had an open thing. They wanted all the Jewish servicemen to join them. Well, first of all, the temple was ornate. I couldn't believe it. It was really a beautiful, beautiful thing. So we went. I say we, I'll tell you a story about that. We went. The strangest thing to see little old Chinese guys with a long beard.
Davening. Before the Cultural Revolution.
Yeah, let me get that back of my mind.
Wow.
Well, and I say we, one of my best friends was named Charlie Green.
Mm-hmm.
He was not Jewish, but I passed him along as being Jewish. So he went with me. And then we became, some people befriended us from the temple.
Chinese people or
Russian
emigres?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, in Shanghai, there was two groups basically of Jews. One group was the Russian Jews who had been there since the early 1920s. Okay, they were the affluent ones. It was the only part of the world where the Russians were more affluent than the Germans.
Right.
And the other half was the German Jews who were just recently there. Well, anyway, we became friends with one of the guys. Picked us up, and we became friends with them.
Russian or German?
Russian.
Okay.
This young kid, he was my age. Okay, his father owned before the war an automobile agency. I'm just thinking that he let us use a car. Now, here I am, a second goddamn low ranking officer. I'm driving a car which has had a driver's thing on the right side. Now, I did not have a driver's license.
You had a pilot's license, but not a...
Yeah. And the only stipulation is that he wanted us to fill it up with gasoline when we brought it back to him. Sure, no problem. I'd drive it out to the flight line. I'd put aviation gasoline in it. Don't ask me whatever happened to those things. So anyway, that's...
So that's you tooling around Shanghai with your buddy in a loaned car from a Russian immigrant, Jewish. That's really funny.
Yeah. But...
and that was around the holidays, so that would have been September, October.
Right.
Now when was the bomb dropped?
August.
Okay. So how much longer were you overseas?
It was in December when they shipped us home.
December of 45. And so you spent the last 2 months in Shanghai?
Yeah.
Doing what? Partying?
More or less.
Cleaning stuff up?
That's when I got the sword. Remember I told you the story about? Yeah, that's where I got the sword. So anyway, now you know the life story, and in spite of me, we won the war.
Well, there's probably a lot more in there, but I'm just so it was the 331st. Is that what you said? You think Airborne Division?
It was, yeah.
Okay. And did you stay in touch with like any of these people? None of them.
None.
Mm-hmm.
I was so glad to get the hell out. I want nothing to do with any of them.
Yeah. So you came home to Buffalo, and then what'd you do then? Because I know we have all those pictures of the beach.
Yeah.
Of the following summer of everybody just having a heck of a time.
Yeah. Well, they were paying us guys $20 a week. See, that was
not bad.
So in 1946, wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first got home, I probably I took some courses at UB, registered at UB for the first couple of, and then
for a semester. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were living with Grandma and Grandpa.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And
Uncle Hirsch must have been happy to have his older brother home. So you were 20. You were 20. You were almost 21.
Yeah.
And you were already all done with being in the service. Wow.
Yeah. And so that was it.
Okay. Uh-oh.
That was the interview?
Yeah, that's been your interview. Work. So you towed gliders? And where were you towing the gliders to? You just would let them go.
Well, we would tow them for instance, and then we would release them, and they would go. Then they were infantry troops, really, and they would.
And then people would parachute out.
No, they would land.
Land.
They would land, and the gliders would, disintegrate, and these, I think, each glider.
Disposable planes, huh?
Basically, I think they carried a squad of infantrymen, maybe 20 or something like that.
Oh wow!
See, and I forget.
Oh God, can you imagine what a
Huh?
how crappy?
Yeah, well, I'm always thankful that I wasn't
One of them.
one of them.
And where were you? So this was again in Burma.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't quite realize that so much activity was happening in, in Burma. You hear so much about the European theater.
The CBI was basically the forgotten theater of operations. The biggest thing, of course, Europe, and after that was Europe, Pacific. But we were the.
What did CBI stand for?
China, Burma, India.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Now, one of the overall commander of that group, of that area there, was Queen Elizabeth's cousin, Mountbatten. Okay, he was actually, his name came up recently because the IRA killed him in a assassination maybe 20 years ago, something like that. Mountbatten, his name was.
I recognize the name.
Okay, he was the overall commander of that group. Stilwell, the American commander, was under him.
Oh, Stilwell. I've heard of that. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, but basically, it was the forgotten war. There was not many.
There was certainly no dramatization, or what's the right word? It hasn't been the focus of.
No, there was a movie that we saw not too long ago that was on about Merrill's Marauders and their fight in. I forget the name of the movie, but it was on. And there was. Let me see. The British had a group of a similar thing called Wingate's Raiders. They were basically guerrilla fighters, and they would do anything, to disrupt the Japanese. And the American counterpart of that was Merrill's Marauders. Merrill was the colonel or the general, I guess, at the time that was in charge of that. But basically, they were infiltrators, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm always thankful that I didn't have to be part of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you. Anything else to think of?
What?
Anything else you can think of?
Probably when you leave.
Yeah. Well, so, I do know that you have